So in this video, I want to talk to you about how to deal with bad software developers and how to actually build a startup on the side. I think this is a really fun sort of series to build out. And so what I'm going to do in this video is give you some tips and stuff that I've learned in terms of building out the Reciprocity Project. The E is written with a 3. You could take a look at it. And I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole Reciprocity Project to give back. And I just wanted to actually tell you some of these things that I've learned. I've been working at this for like 4 to 5 years now. It's a side project, and I think it's actually getting someplace, but it does take a lot longer than you think it's going to take. So the funny thing is when you have a developer, when you first start like building something out. So this is how it all worked out, right? So I thought I'd get a team together, kind of like a little startup thing. I'm at a university. I thought I'd be able to put this together and get some, college students and various different people together. That did not work out at the beginning. So what I did is actually I went onto Upwork and found freelance developers to build out this thing. And now I found, a wonderful team at this moment that sort of is building this stuff out. And I'm really happy with them, but at the same time, you have to know that this is taking a long time in terms of building this thing out. And I'm always looking for more. So if there's other people that want to help out on the Reciprocity Project, give me a shout. Looking for great people, especially somebody that is probably more senior at this moment that is willing to sort of participate. So how do you actually build, a startup is really thinking of managing people and being a decent person. I know you don't want to hear this at this time, but this is really important. I want you to think about this. So if you're feeling like you have bad software developers, it's likely that they're not bad, that there is probably something else that's going on behind the scenes, and you're probably not getting at what they are dealing with. Now, some people you do have to terminate and find somebody else. And you might have to go through that a couple of times before you find somebody that is suitable for what you're looking for and what you're doing, especially something on the side where it is, might not be the full amount of time that they're dedicating their day to, but you need somebody that's going to do that. And it might be a lot more. I found somebody, a team from India, and they're wonderful, they're amazing, and I really enjoy them. I found them on Upwork, but it took a long time before I found them. I found initially another team out of the Ukraine, and then, kind of spent some time looking for it, but I've been working with this team in India for a while, and they're pretty good. They're actually not bad. But I want to sort of say it's not without its hassles, right? When you do this sort of cultural thing, when you're working with other people in different countries, it's not as easy as you think it's going to be. And I just want you to talk about that and be open. So give yourself a lot of grace when you are doing this, especially if this is your first time ever doing something that's you kind of have this sort of startup idea and you're like, man, I wish I could do this thing, and you're pursuing it, right? So give yourself a ton of grace. Give them a ton of grace in terms of what they're doing, because they're kind of making things up as well, and you're making things up as well, and you don't really have a good sense of what's going on. And it's probably, it's going to take you probably 2 to 3 times as much money as you think it's ever going to take. And it's probably going to take you 2 to 3 times as much time as it are going to take. And it's just going to take a lot of iterations that you're going to feel. So be well aware of dealing with that. Now, if you have this sort of gut feeling that you're getting the runaround, and I think that's the third thing I want to point out, if you have this gut feeling that you're getting the runaround and they're not, you feel like you keep talking to them and pursuing them, and you keep getting this runaround and whatnot, and they keep, you just don't have a good feeling, then it's likely you probably do need to get somebody else, because you are getting the runaround. And that is going to happen, and that is okay, and you just kind of have to go on and move to somebody else. And you just have to keep sort of pursuing that kind of thing, right? So if you're getting that gut feeling, after a while, pursue somebody else and find somebody else. There's lots of people out there that could help out with the thing that you're working on. Now, this is the fourth thing that I want to point out is, build slowly. It's not, we have this sort of image in our mind that every startup explodes and, does amazing things and stuff like that, like becomes an Uber or whatnot. You don't understand like what went on behind Uber to actually get there and how much investment they got, and like just the story behind it and where they were, and it was just the right time and the right place. So know that these things kind of take time and they sort of percolate, and most things actually take time like this, and that is okay, right? So don't look at those outliers. Those are outliers. That's why you pay attention to them. Look at what kind of the norm is, and the norm is just building slowly and kind of iterating, and really getting a little bit of traction, a little bit of traction, a little bit of traction. What you are really looking for is to build that sort of culture where it's growing, but at the same time having realistic expectations with the thing that you're actually building. Now, that's the fifth thing I want to point out is it does take a tremendous amount of iterations. So, it's not that they're a bad developer in any sort of sense. It's likely that you're just missing out that it just takes a lot of iterations. And a lot of people forget about that, right? Like development I've done both sides. I've done development myself, in all sorts of different software and stuff like that. And it's all just like iterations, right? That's what you're doing. It's just iterating and problem solving constantly. And, some people are really good at sort of writing things and getting it down right up the get-go, writing code at the get-go, but most people aren't. And you just kind of have to realize that is going to happen, and there's iterations and there's problems that you're going to have to solve along the way, and be okay with that. So realize that is very much part of the process, and don't get frustrated with it, because things do break and things don't work all the time. And that is software. That's actually what you're doing, is realizing that there's problems all the time. You're a problem solver more than anything. Now, I think this is the most important thing that I want to have and this is the sixth thing, is that, if you're made to feel insecure, or if somebody is being very condescending, that's almost like a sure sign that you don't want to work with those people. As somebody that's building out the whole Reciprocity Project, so again, you could check it out. The E is written with a 3. It's kind of a sharing economy editing platform that I'm trying to build out. It's a slow process, but if somebody is like, man, if they ask you questions of just making you feel terrible, right? Like, and if you don't know those things, then if they ask you some silly question about what is the specific kind of software backend kind of whatever it is, they're kind of being a little bit condescending at that moment. And it's okay if you have to spend the time to look this kind of stuff up. And you don't have to know everything, and know that they're just kind of being a little bit jerky. And you probably don't want to work with them at that moment if they're not willing to take the time and say, hey, you know what, that's okay. And let's try to find something here, or let's wait, and I'd be happy to help you out and do those kind of things. It's just not going to be kind of a fun experience if somebody is being condescending. It's like the same thing when you're looking for advice for financial advice or anything like that. If somebody's being condescending, you don't want to be with those people. They're kind of jerky. And you just want to feel secure, and somebody's going to walk you through all of this kind of things, because there is a lot of stuff that goes on. And as somebody that has written a ton of code in all sorts of different languages, as somebody that studies innovation, that studies startups and stuff, there's so much that goes on, and there's so many different things that you are thinking about. And they might have sort of a specific angle that they're thinking about in a specific thing, but they're not thinking that there's all these kind of other things that you are thinking about. And if they're kind of making you feel bad, they're not really realizing what that is, and what, all these other things that you're worried about. Because it's not just the code, or it's not just a specific problem that you're thinking about when you're building sort of a startup on the side. There's all sorts of things that you're thinking about, right? Like financial stuff, how you're going to market, all of these kind of things are really difficult, and you have to pay attention to that and they might not sort of realize that that is going on, and you have to pay attention to all those kind of things. And this one little kind of code feature or whatever, that's the last of your worries, right? You just want to make sure that the darn thing works. And that's the important thing. And so what I'm getting at here is you should feel really secure with this. And bad software developers are often not bad. You're probably going through kind of management issues at this moment, and you really have to take a step back and wonder what is going on, or how are you treating the situation. Give people a lot of grace with it. But if it doesn't work out, if it's repeated 3-4 times where it's just not working out, and it's just not, you're getting frustrated, it's probably time to find somebody that's new, or you spend the time to train that person and go through and train them. But that might take a little bit of time and effort, especially when you're doing kind of a startup thing, which you might not have, and you might have to look for somebody that's a little bit more experienced and can help you out. So hopefully this helps you build the sort of thing that you're trying to build at this moment. And it's issues that we all have to deal with, and a lot of it has to do with your management technique and how you are dealing with things. And I'm not great either. I get frustrated with this kind of stuff, and I actually want to do things quicker than I'd want to go, but just know that it takes time, and you have to reassure yourself that this is all part of the process. And know that you just have to keep doing it one step, until you actually have built something, you got something that's really cool. So with that, give me a thumbs up, do subscribe to the YouTube channel, take care, and have a wonderful day. All right, bye.